You are now listening to
The Really Joe podcast. Really Joe Green.
Good day, people. Today I have a very special guest. I have Mr. Travell Green, fourth grade teacher. Clinton, is it still Clinton Primary?
Still Clinton Primary.
All right, Clinton Primary. One reason why I have Travell today is I've told him this. You gotta give people their flowers while they're here. Don't wait till it's too late. I think what Travell is doing in the school system is great, and one reason why I have him here today is because I have young kids. Actually, my oldest is fifth grade, my youngest is second grade. So
Okay.
just going to the school system, I see a lot of teachers that don't care. I see a lot of faculty that don't care about your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes, sir.
especially if they have any type of behavioral issues, attendance issues, they don't care. So I see you a lot on social media, and I see that you really giving the best that you have to these kids, and it looks like they're receiving it.
Yes, sir.
And the crazy thing is, it's a job most people don't want. They really just there for a check and the vacation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let me start off with asking you, what made you want to go into teaching, and how long have you been teaching?
Well, I've been teaching now for about, I think this makes year number 6. But I've always had a desire to go into education. My father was a coach, and I watched him make an impact in the lives of those young men. And so I knew I didn't want to coach because of the time that it took away from the family. But I knew I wanted to make a positive impact in the lives of children. And so I decided to become a teacher. And honestly, I didn't really see many teachers that looked like me.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. So it's like you wanted to go in and help kids, but you didn't want to take too much time away from your own family.
Yes, sir.
All right. So just to give y'all a little insight, Travell is married to my first cousin, right? So I met Travell some years ago. Uh, man, what? Maybe about 15 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Probably about 15.
So when I first met him, you know how you meet somebody and they date your cousin and you like, all right, let me kind of feel this guy out, right?
Yeah, I felt it.
So when I first met you, I was like, he a real serious dude. You know, I didn't know how to take it,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I probably never told you this, but I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, I don't know, I'm just see how this go, even though I'm not gonna be around every day,
Mm-hmm.
you still want your cousin to be with a good guy,
He was a good guy. Mm-hmm.
And then so over the years, I just see you leading your family. And I take my hat off to anybody like that, especially that's willing to stay in the household with your family. I take my hat off to anybody like that. So let me throw that out there.
Well, man, first thing, man, you pick a fine time to spring it on me now. I appreciate that, man. But no, man, I'm just honored to be the husband of Nikisha and then the father of Tavion and Felicity. Man, they are after God the most important people in my life. Without them, man, I wouldn't be where I am today. It's their love and their support that keeps me going. It keeps me, at the end of the day, I told Felicity the other day, I said, the most important thing I want to leave, in a sense, in so many words, is a legacy. I may not ever be a millionaire, but I can make an impact in the lives of a million people. And I can do that by touching one person that touches another person that touches another. And before you know it, you've made an impact in the lives of many people without actually talking to every single one.
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep. That's real too. And the crazy thing that's kind of what I try to do with my podcast, even though it's not like $1 million worth of game and the Joe Rogan show or experience, whatever.
Yes, sir.
It's I think that's like the best thing you can give somebody. It's just reaching people. So I see you basically done that for a profession now with the things that you do with your classroom. And the biggest thing that I like probably the most is you bringing back being a gentleman. And I kind of value that because like when I was younger, I didn't have suits. I didn't have a tie. I didn't know how to tie a tie. I learned how to tie a tie in college.
Yes, sir.
And I remember I went to a job interview at Dillard's in Pine Bluff, and I never could apply for a job like that because I didn't have the clothes.
Didn't have the clothes. Yes, sir.
You know, so I can appreciate you trying to teach those young men how to be gentlemen. You know, so what was the motivation behind teaching them how to be gentlemen?
Honestly, man, the motivation was that often we hear people talk about our young people. You know, we have a lot, they have a lot of derogatory and negative things to say. And so instead of standing around talking about it, we decided, man, to stand in the gap and try to do something about it. And so, you know, we want our young men to be a gentleman. We want them to know the importance, man, of carrying themselves in a respectful way, because it's not just about what you say, but it's also about what you do. You know, and a lot of times, whenever you dress a certain way, our motto with the Gentleman's Club is look good, feel good, do good. When you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you're more apt to do good.
Right,
And
right,
so, you know, that was just kind of our thought behind
right. And what does being a gentleman mean to you?
it. Being a gentleman means, you know, being a man of integrity, high character, you know, wearing your, you know, just keeping it 100, wearing your pants up around your waist, you know, not being ashamed to tuck your shirt in, not, you know, saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, yes, sir, and no, sir. You know, really the values and things that we were taught when we were children.
Right,
You know, a lot of times our children are missing the boat with those things because some of them are not being taught those things. And so we have an opportunity, man, to teach them those things, and those kind of things that will carry on with them for a lifetime.
right, right. So, you know, as I was saying earlier, right, from me, you know, I'm real observant. So when I go to my kids' school, I observe stuff, I hear stories.
Hmm.
And as I was saying, you know, the kids who have behavioral issues, the, some of those teachers and faculty, they tend not to care about it. You know, they're real quick to kind of push them away, or you know, suspend them, whatever the case may be, instead of saying, "Hey, this kid is really crying out for help," right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, with that being said, what what is your biggest thing, or what is your biggest observation with those kids that have behavioral issues?
Honestly, man, I think it's across the board. You know, they have an old saying in education that no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so the young people, man, whether they're struggling, whether they're doing, you know, well financially, you know, SES, socioeconomic status, you know, students coming from different homes or different settings, they're all going through something. And it's our job, man, to do what we can to support them, you know, to show them love and kindness. And sometimes, if we're honest, we're the only person that they see that day, man, that shows them love and kindness. And so, if we miss out on the opportunity to do that, then we could be the cause of that child deciding not to ever come back to school, or deciding to drop out from school, or deciding, man, to do even something worse, like take their own life.
Right, right, yeah. Man, it's kind of crazy, right? Because I try to preach this to my kids, right? And you know, I try to teach them to be appreciative of what they have,
Hmm.
even like when it comes to like, especially food. You know, cause my kids are picky, and I'm like, look,
Hmm.
there's some kids out there they only eat when they at school.
Hmm.
You
Yes, sir.
know, so one reason why I mention that is because I think, you know, I think it has to be a happy medium between the kid and the parents, right? You
Hmm.
know, because if
Hmm.
if the kid goes home to a bad situation, how can they be good at school? You know, or what's the motivation to be good at school? So I think it has to be a happy medium. But do you see, like, whether it's faculty, staff, or even parents trying to use the resources that the schools have available for them? Because I know a lot of schools have resources for parents that can maybe help their situation a little bit or guide it, you know, just to help that kid, you know.
Not as often as I would like to see parents use those resources. But another reason, I don't want to put it all on the parents. I think we as educators, we have to do a better job of awareness, making sure that they are aware of all of the resources that we do have to assist them as well as their child. And so I just believe that we have to do it together. if we are going to allow and help their children become the best that they can be, or help our children become the best that they can be, got to do it together.
Hmm.
And so the educators, we have a part to play, and the parents do too.
Right, right. So like as a teacher or a staff member, they should probably probe more to see where they can help, you know, each and maybe every student. Because I mean it's a lot of government money available that they give to schools
Hmm.
that's being honest, a lot of people misuse that money
Hmm.
because it's not being used.
Hmm.
So if you're not probing and asking the right questions and trying to use those resources,
Hmm.
then they're just going to be left on the table, you think?
Well, probing, the connotations associated with probing are kind of negative. And so I don't know if I would say probing, but I would say that just take out the time to listen to your students, because often they will tell you everything you need to know if you'll take out the time to listen.
Right,
And
right.
as educators, we have a lot of things to do during our day. But one of the most important things we can do is stop and listen to what the children have to say. Because they'll tell you if they're struggling when they go home in the afternoon. They'll tell you if they don't have food to eat. They'll tell you if they don't have proper clothing to wear. If you take out the time to hear what they have to say.
Right, right. So kind of like probing it. Well, how you were saying the connotation of probing is kind of like being nosy, but
Hmm.
but versus, I guess you should be actively listening
Actively listening. Yes, sir.
versus probing.
Versus probing.
Okay, all right, I got you, I got you. All right, so what's the best moment that you've had since being a teacher?
Oh man, that's a tough one. And I give all glory to God, man. But I've had a lot of moments. Just this past week, we went to a place called the Kiwanis Club. And we took the Gentlemen's Club over. They asked us to come and speak and just share information about our club. And 3 or 4 of the young men got a chance to stand up and speak about the club. And several of them, man, they said, man, since before I joined the club, I was struggling. I was making bad grades. I was getting in trouble all of the time. But since I've joined the club, one young man said, since I've joined the club this year, I don't get in trouble and I'm making all A's. And I just want to thank Mr. Green for having the club, man. And so those moments are the reason why I became an educator. I want to educate the students academically, but man, I also want to educate them in a manner, man, that they can take something from my classroom and take it with them for the rest of their life. They may not remember what I taught them as far as, you know, just reading comprehension, reading literature. They may not remember all of that, but they will remember how we treated them. And they will remember, man, just the little life lessons that they picked up in the classroom.
Right, right. So being a teacher to you is more rewarding than anything for you.
It is, man. It has really brought me a lot of joy. I've been blessed to do the things, man, that God has allowed me to do. He's put me in places, man, that I never would have ever considered even being in. Even me being in Hope, man. It's I know we probably don't have a time for it, but there's a testimony even behind that. I'm in Hope not because I asked to be there, not because I wanted to be there, but because God saw fit for me to be there. So everything that has happened, man, in my life at the school has been a God thing. And I do want to say, man, after my second or third year of teaching, God blessed me, man, to win Teacher of the Year. And man, I never would have even considered, or even thought about, man, being able to do something like that. But I know it was all because of Him.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, that's deep, man. Congrats. I think I told you when you posted it, but yeah,
Yeah, yes,
congrats,
sir, yes,
congrats.
sir.
So, do you have the gentleman's club was all you, right? You like all your idea, like
Well,
put
it was all God.
okay.
If you got a moment, for me to share that testimony, it's quick.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Um, Man, I was sitting at home and I was watching something on television, and I saw some on television. I was like, this, we need to do something for our young men, at our school. And so I went to school, went to school the next day, and it was in my mind and in my heart to go and talk to the principal there at Hope at the time. And so sure enough, I left the classroom and I went down on my way to find the principal, man. And when I met the principal, apparently he had saw the same thing or something similar to what I saw the night before. Because before I could ask him, he asked me. He said, Mr. Green, man, I said, man, I saw something that, man, I think you would be just the person, man, to do. I said, man, listen, I was getting ready to ask you exact same thing, about starting the gentleman's club. I want to do something to help our young men. And he said, man, listen, we're on the same page. And him and I both knew at that moment that it was a God thing. It wasn't just a good thing, but it was a God thing.
Yeah. So, do you focus on the gentleman because, like, you know, I mean, some people may not agree, especially women, but
Hmm.
men are the leaders of like family. Well, they should be leaders of families and households. Is that why you focus more on the gentleman versus the women?
Well, I focus more on the gentleman because I'm a man, and I think that me being a man, it is easier for me to resonate and easier for me to just communicate with the young men because some of the things that they're facing, things that they have dealt with, or maybe even dealing with, I've dealt with it. You know, I know what it's like, man, to have a mama incarcerated. I know what it's like, man, to come home, and not have much food to eat. I know what it's like, man, to come home and all your lights out and all your lights are turned out in the house. And you praying that mom get a few dollars, before the week's up so that you can get your lights turned back on. And so, but even with that being said, we do what we can with the gentlemen, but we don't have a gentleman's club. But I'm always, man, reaching out to the young ladies as well, because I'm a girl dad. I have a daughter, and so and you asked me a question a little while back, what was a proud moment? Another proud moment, man, was just here recently as well. One of my one of the female students in my classroom, she walked up to me and she said, well, Mr. Green, is it okay if I call you dad? And and man, it really hit home, I almost became emotional. And I told her, I said, sweetheart, that's completely fine. Because she saw me as a father, or she sees me as a father figure, man, and apparently her father's not in her life. And so I told her, sweetheart, that's completely fine. Call me dad. But just the fact that she saw enough in me to even ask that, man, it meant the world.
Yeah, yeah. I ain't gonna lie, that kind of hit me just then. Like I couldn't even picture that. Like honestly, and not to mention, I don't think my little girls would let nobody get that close to them because they,
Yeah.
ooh, man, they get on another level sometimes when like somebody else show me
Somebody,
some
yes,
type
sir.
of attention. Like,
Yes, sir.
ooh,
Yes, sir.
well, but man, I think that's pretty deep. Uh, that's like really deep, like on another level. But it's kind of like giving you a big, congrats, like saying thank you. And I have to mention this, you know, Dr. Roy Turner just passed.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
he was big for the school district. Like he was never my teacher, but he was my brother's teacher.
Mhm.
And I wanted him to be my
You
teacher
wanted him to
because
be
I
your teacher.
heard so much
Yes,
stuff
sir.
about him,
Yes, sir.
and just the way he kind of helps kids learn, and he just passed, and I'm like, man, like that's crazy, like because
Yeah,
he was a great dude.
he was, man. He was. He sure
Everybody
was.
knows it,
Yes, sir.
and it's kind of like at the same time, I see you having that same impact on the kids that you're teaching. So I guess I said all that to say, just keep up the great work. Like you really doing a great job. I'm sure you probably don't, get the feedback that you probably should from maybe select people, or you might not even get it from all the kids that you probably should, but just know that you're doing a great job, and stay on the path that you're doing. I mean that you're on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, man, I appreciate it. But all glory goes to God. And if I could leave a message with anyone, I don't know what we are in the program, but if I could leave a message with anyone, man, it's that, man, put God first, and you won't come in last. And man, any heart desire that you have, man, that you want to do something, and you want to do something for somebody else, man, trust God, and man, God will make a way for you to do it because He can see what's on the inside, while man can only see what's on the outside.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, that's real, man. Well, look, Mr. Green, Teacher of the Year. I appreciate you for sitting down with me. Any other final remarks, maybe?
Uh, yes, sir, man. for all the parents, I remember growing up as a young man. I played a lot of pee-wee football. I was a good athlete as a child, and I love my mom. We on good standing right now. But there were often times where I would show up at football games and I would play a good football game and I would score multiple touchdowns. And a lot of the kids would have a cheering section. But at the end of the game, I didn't have one. Nobody said great job to me other than the coaches and the parents of other children. So I said all that to say this, is that at that time, it made a difference. My mom might not have realized it, but it made a difference to me that I didn't have a cheering section. I didn't have anyone to say, great job, son, I'm proud of you for scoring a touchdown. And so I said all that to say this, that parents, if you don't do anything else, be there. Be there. If you don't do anything else, be there for parent-teacher conference. Be there for the football game, for the basketball game, for the chess club, whatever it is, robotics, just be there. And them knowing you there, just like my mom didn't understand, I want you to understand, it does make a difference.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Just to piggyback off of that, right? Just like I was saying earlier about if a kid goes home to a bad situation, how can they be good in school? Like, I mean, of course you're their parent, but you're the number one factor in their life, whether they are successful or not. Most successful children come from good parents. Like you can't be a successful child, however you deem success. You can't be that without a good parent, and of course, the man upstairs. Of course, you need that, but the parents are the number one factor into how you turn out, and even a bad parent can motivate someone to be better than their parent was.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Without a doubt.
But I appreciate you again, man, for joining us. We don't want to make it too long, but hey, great father, great teacher, man. What else can you say, man? So, till next time, people, we out.